Hello and welcome. I'm Bonnie Jackson, a volunteer with Arts Community Education Program. And for those of you who are maybe new to our video series, STEP is a volunteer-led program with the goal of sharing current information with the community on Social Security, Medicare, Prepare to Care, Finances 50 Plus, and of course the ARP Fraud Watch Network. Several of our volunteers are with us today, so I'd like to introduce them to you. Rob Foster, Sandra Eng, Joyce Sprengel, Steve Booth, Tanya Jackson, and Linda Vitale, who will be covering part one of our online ID theft for us today. So let's get started.
Well, I'm sorry, I was over, David. Okay, welcome everyone. This is part one of identity theft online. So we want to begin by saying that one of the first things that is really important is because of coronavirus, there are a lot of people online right now. And because of that, there's a lot of danger online if you don't follow the steps to protect yourself. So we are going to go over a couple of those things today, just so that you know how to be safe when you're online. So the first thing we want to talk about as far as online safety goes is you should all be monitoring your bank accounts and your financial accounts all the time as much as possible, not to wait until you get your bank statement in the mail, because by that time there could be damage done that you were unaware of. So you should really make a habit of establishing an online bank account, set the parameters with certain alerts so that if someone logs on or someone does a transaction, that you will get an email immediately so you will know if anybody tries to get online, using your password or something that might have been stolen. And the same thing goes with your financial accounts. So that's really important that you make a habit of doing that. Then the next thing we want to talk about is how to keep your computer safe from being online. But one of the things is to make sure that when you go online, your passwords are long, strong, stealth, and unique. Long, they say usually 12 to 18 characters. Use a mix of letters, numbers, symbols. Try not to use known information, like you would want to use your date of birth or your address or your phone number or your maiden name or things like that that could easily be gleaned. Someone, in a data breach or someone looking online to try to find out about you, they can find that information. So just make it hard for a criminal to try to crack. And also, you want to make them unique. You don't want to have your Facebook password the same as your online password for, say, Amazon or PayPal, something like that. Because if that password gets compromised, the criminal will use that password on all the other popular sites. And then what happens is they will be able to get on those sites and change the password, and you will be locked out of your account. So if you see there on that chart, one of the things we say is to try to change your password often. You don't have to do it every week or every month, but at least try to do it every 6 months. And if you look at that chart, you can see that really only 50% of people change their passwords every 3 months. A few more do it every 3 to 6 months. So try to get into a habit of changing your password a little bit more often. And of course, if you ever hear that there's a data breach, you always want to change your password right away without any hesitation. I had someone call me the other day, one of my tax clients, and told me that they got a call from Apple. And this person was trying to fish for their Apple ID. And the first thing I told her after she got off the phone with that person is I said to her, go back into your Apple account and change your password right away. So she did. So those are the kinds of things you have to look out for. You need to guard your password. Don't give it out to anyone. All right, and then the next thing is we want to talk about is your computer. Your computer can be hacked in various ways, and you need to protect your computer. So one of the ways to protect your computer is make sure that you have very good software protection, virus protection, and malware protection. So that if you accidentally click on something that is infected, it won't transfer into your computer because the program itself will, quarantine. And we use that word a lot now in coronavirus, but the word quarantine is a program that guards your computer against viruses and malware, will quarantine that particular criminal out of the, so that they won't be able to put any malware or viruses on your computer. So you want to protect your computer with whatever software programs you can, and that includes your devices as well, your cell phone, your iPads, and you also want to update your programs as soon as you know that there's an update. So Microsoft, most people have Microsoft, but Microsoft every second Tuesday has what's called Patch Tuesday. And usually that's when they have all the new updates to plug in all the holes that the hackers have figured out how to get into. So it's always important to keep aware of that. The second Tuesday of every month is usually an update day. And one of the best ways to do this is to just set your virus protection and your malware protection programs to just automatically do the updates for you so that you don't have to even think about it. Then the other thing is we want to talk about Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is, first of all, Wi-Fi is not private. It is public usually. It can go through walls. So one of the things you want to protect yourself is to be aware that Wi-Fi is not private. And if you are in a public place, there could be somebody that we call man in the middle who is intercepting everything that you are doing. So whenever you are in a public place like a library or a cafe or a hotel or an airline, you want to be sure that you're not doing anything that might give away your password or your username or your credit card or any personal information. So that's the man in the middle, but there's another one, and that one is called evil twin. An evil twin is when you go, say, for example, to a hotel, and you go to try to get online using the hotel's Wi-Fi, and you have to keep in mind that that's their Wi-Fi. It's public, and you have to be careful what you do. You also have to be careful of which network you use. And many fraudsters will use a name similar to the hotel's name. And so when you go to log on to the Wi-Fi, you have to know which one to choose, which one is the actual hotel's Wi-Fi and not an evil twin. So that's something to be careful. So make sure that you know when you're traveling that you know what that particular Wi-Fi password and username is before you log on. And then the other thing to think about with Wi-Fi is war driving. There are actually fraudsters out there who go around neighborhoods and drive around and they look for unlocked Wi-Fi in your home. A lot of people buy routers and they don't think to change the default password. And they can be easily broken in that way. So make sure that you change your default password in your Wi-Fi and make sure that you put a really good password so that if somebody comes by, you're not going to be able to use your password or see what you're doing when you're online at home. And that is the three things to be wary about with using Wi-Fi. So I'm just going to go over them real quick one more time, just as a takeaway. You don't want to access sensitive information when you're using public Wi-Fi, because again, public Wi-Fi is not private. You want to verify the true public Wi-Fi network name before you log in, and you want to make sure that you secure your home Wi-Fi system. And that's it for today. We will continue and do another segment on online identity theft online in part 2. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda. That was excellent. And I do want to encourage all of you to join us again next week for part 2 of online identity theft. Thank you.